Alpine in 2021 finished P5 in the championship, with them getting a win with Esteban Ocon in Hungary and Fernando Alonso getting a podium in Qatar. So far for their first season as they were called Alpine, it was a steady season with a lot of room for improvement going into the new regulations in 2022. The expectations going into this season with Alpine were just to build on what they did last year. A lot of rumors went around the team that they were going to take performance over reliability when building their engines. As we know, Alpine built their Renault engines that only they use, so they clearly were looking to improve on their power but not the reliability, which we will get into later on. So let's take a look at what the team did in 2022. In Bahrain, the team would go on and score 8 points, and their pace was really unknown as the midfield was very close, and everyone was still uncertain where they would end in the standings. In Saudi Arabia, the first signs of the engine reliability were shown with Alonso having a DNF, but Ocon did go on and get the team 6 points. So again, it was damage limitation. Australia was nearly very good for Alpine, as Alonso was on the pace of being on pole, until he would have a crash, which would mean he could not finish his lap, of course. In the race for Alonso, as he would finish last of the runner, but again, Ocon would get some more much-needed points by finishing in P7. Imola would be poor for the team, as they would score no points with another Alonso DNF, due to some damage to his bodywork, and Ocon was not really on the pace, so a weekend to forget. In Miami, Ocon would score the team another 4 points, whilst Alonso was just outside the top 10, showing how close the midfield was at the start of the season. Spain was another good showing by the team with them getting 8 points. Here it really did show how it was going to be a McLaren versus Alpine for the top of the midfield. At Monaco, Alpine would take another 6 points and all from Alonso, who pretty much went slower, so that the cars behind him could not go past him, as we all know that you cannot overtake around Monaco, and this showed with him being 30 seconds behind the car, in front, when he could have easily been much closer. Baku was another solid race, scoring 7 points, whilst their main rivals in McLaren only scored 6, so from here onwards it was just who can score more points. Of course, McLaren did only have one driver on from through the season, Lando Norris, so Alpine should easily win this battle for the top of the midfield, right? In Canada, the team will get another 10 points, which really did help their momentum, whilst McLaren got no points, so another good weekend for the team. Another DNF would come Ocon's way, which of course was expected, due to the expedition before the season, but Alonso would score a massive 10 points which were needed. In Austria, the team would score a huge 11 points, with another big performance from Ocon getting 10 of those. What a season he is having. In France, another 12 points were scored, whilst Lando scored just 6. This battle would have been much closer if it wasn't just Norris versus Alpine, of course. Before we would go into the summer break, the team would score 6 points, so not a bad way to end off the first half of the season, so very consistent from the team. In Spa, after the short summer break, Alpine would score a massive 16 points haul, even though Alonso would have a crash with Lewis Hamilton on the first lap, clearly showing how the car is very capable, and this season has been very good from the Enstone-based team. 10 points were scored next at Zandvoort. Just seems normal to the team to be doing so well, picking up the high midfield spots when they can. However, Monza would be quite honestly a disaster for the team. They would score no points for a long time. Alonso would have another DNF. We've lost count at this point, and Ocon would finish just outside the points. A weekend for them to forget. You thought that Monza was bad? Well, in Singapore it gets much worse. It would be another weekend where Alpine would get no points. It doesn't end there. They would have a double DNF, and put the cherry on top McLaren, as they would then go ahead in the standings. In Japan, Alpine would bounce back, even better, and get 18 points in the race when it was soaking wet. From here, the team would need to finish the season strong to make sure they secure P4. Will they do it? The next round was in the United States, and somehow, even though Fernando Alonso had a bad crash with Lance Stroll, he would still get 6 points, so damage limitation really, but Norris did score more points, so it was so tight between the two teams going into the final 3 races. Guess what happened to Alonso in the next round? You guessed it, another engine failure, which of course angered Fernando, after having another good race. Ocon would take some points for the team in P8, with McLaren getting P7 and P9, so the final 2 races would be crucial. In Brazil, the sprint would be a disaster with the 2 drivers coming together, meaning they start very far back on the grid. But they would have a fabulous race, taking home 16 points, all whilst McLaren had a double DNF. P4 was secured here, and in Abu Dhabi, they would just need to have a solid race. In Abu Dhabi, the team would score 6 points with Alonso, whilst McLaren only scored 9, so they got the P4 in the standings. But once again, another Alonso engine issue in his final race with the team was one to forget. Overall, it is fair to say that the 2022 season has been a success, as the team would move up in the standings and have a better race car. Yes, P4 is not what they're aiming for, but it is good momentum to take into 2023, with the new driver lineup of Ocon and Gasly. Will Alpine be fighting at the very top soon? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure to like and subscribe for even more content just like this.